Hello and welcome to Arts Alive Theatre, your local theatre show that wipes off the grease paint from Liverpool's theatrical exterior. On this week's show, we are taking you back to a time when Germany were the World Cup winners, the country was in recession, and Doctor Who was popular Saturday night telly. Yes, you've guessed it, 1974. And today we'll be discussing the Liverpool Playhouse production of Sex and the Three-Day Week, a farce set during the dark days when Edward Heath's government battled striking miners to determine the answer to the question, who governs Britain? Written by Stephen Sharkley and directed by Serdar Billis, the play is a reworking of, or as the author admits, a lovingly ripped off from Georges Feydeau's 1894 farce, The Free Exchange Hotel. To discuss the show, I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Kerr and Gaël Legrand, our resident French farce expert. Welcome to the show, both of you. And before we discuss that, we're going to take a quick look behind the scenes of the play.
But what's the matter now?
You make my life a misery. That's what it
Just
is.
one of 15 years of it, Captain.
Of what? I provide for you, don't I?
I am the wife of who I would consider to be the lead, but I won't want to say that in case the other actors get annoyed. But I would consider, considering how much time he has on stage and stuff, I would consider him to be the main guy. So I am the guy's wife.
My name is Sebastian. I come from Bilbao. I came here in '66. Sebastian is the hotel manager, the Hotel Paradise, which used to be in Paradise Street, but they had to knock it down and move it because they built a bus station. So it's in a new location now. And all the people in the play somehow converge in this hotel. So we have room 9, 10, 11, and 12, where characters that get introduced in the first act, they all meet to do naughty things. You know, it's a bit of a dodgy hotel, and Sebastian is a bit of a wheelie dealer and provider of stuff.
The character of Angela, she's very uptight, she's a very successful businesswoman who's incredibly frustrated with her relationship and the lack of sensuality in her relationship.
He's the one who wants a fancy man, not me. I'll tell you what, if she can find one, he can keep her. Because I don't want her.
Oh, don't listen to him, Captain.
Don't worry. I
He's crazy. Are you crazy? I'm crazy about her.
Oh, you've really done it this time.
Oh dear, have I? Tough luck!
You come back here and tell her you didn't mean it. Tell her you didn't mean it.
She's a bit of a lie there, also.
I've got work to do.
Here, I'll sort him.
She, towards the end of the play, has a very traumatic event happen to her which reawakens her sensual side. I don't know why I did this movement. I do quite like it though, so I'm just going to keep doing it. In the second half, I play another character, a character called Holly, who is a prostitute, a fabulous prostitute. You see Angela in the first half and the second half, but as most, like you were saying, as a lot of farces are split into 3 acts. So in the first act, I am Angela. In the second act, I am Holly. And in the third act, I am Angela again. But they're completely separate people. I'm not Angela pretending to be somebody else. They're completely separate people.
You see what he's done to me, Philip? How he speaks to me. He doesn't want me.
I want you, Kathy!
What?
I want you. I know, he's my best friend, but my conscience is clear. I tried to warn him, but would he listen? He's made his bed, and I'm gonna lie in it.
I work with Ed, who plays the character of Philip. He is a very brilliant physical comedian, but he's just a brilliant actor, and it's fascinating to be on stage with somebody like that. Basically, what you do as an actor is if you see somebody else, like in a scene, you know, like you're watching a scene that you're not in, and they do something that's funny, you just nick it. You just steal it, and you're just trying to appropriate it for your character. And then when someone says, that looks a bit, you say, no, because my character would do it like this. That's basically what you do, you just steal stuff.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Hello, Emily. Sorry, Hang on! Bit of a frog in my throat.
Your ears must be burning, Philip. We were just talking about you.
Were you? Small world. How are you? And you also, Mrs. Ballard, my next door neighbour.
Hello.
What a coincidence.
You didn't know she was here?
No, about Mrs. Ballard. Well, of course I knew. Yes, I was just passing, and I thought. I said to myself, I was just thinking.
You'd pop in for a cup of tea.
It's always nice to play a mixture of characters because it means that you get to experience diversity as an actor, I think, and hopefully show it to an audience as well.
I think this farce is a bit very much like a commedia dell'arte, something like that. And so I did a bit of mask work in the past, and I thought it's not a very intellectual play, and we don't get into emotional depths of the character. So it's very all upfront.
No vacancies.
Oh, pardon, monsieur, he is not a minor.
No, he looks like one.
It is a costume.
Costume.
For play, huh?
Foreplay. Oh, I see. Ah, very good.
Come and see the show, and if you want to stay after the show, I can provide you with a wonderful boudoir for two, where you can relax at your leisure. So just give us a call after the show, and I'll sort you out.
Come and see this play because it's really, really good. And if you don't, I'm going to come round your house and I might rough you up a bit.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Kerr and Gaëlle Legrand, who are theatre goers and were there at the premiere the other night. And welcome to the show, first of all. How was it for you?
Well, I always think that French farce is something which is it translates quite with some difficulty into English. I remember there was a very successful show called Boeing Boeing a few years ago, in fact many years ago, which was reprised 3 or 4 years ago. But it was it's quite a simple affair. This is a much more complicated affair with a very much larger cast, and I think there are certain things about French farce which don't translate fantastically well. The writer did admit that it was, I think, very loosely. I think didn't he say it was based on? I think he said it was an outrageous ripped off from. That's right, the Fido. And there were some places in which it was some way from the original, I think. But
can I bring in Gaëlle here? I mean, you are obviously our resident cultural attaché all the way from France. Do you think that there is a problem with translating French humour into English?
I don't think it's a problem. I just think maybe sometimes it's kind of like we're missing some little bits and pieces. But of course you have to adapt it to British humour and British culture as well. Otherwise people wouldn't be enjoying it as much. So yeah, I think.
And do you think that he was able to adapt it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I like the show. I think it was good, but. Since it's a show, the show was written like in I think 1893, so it's like already a long time ago. So, but it would still work today though, in France.
And Chris, do you think it sort of retained that essence of the 70s? Did it give you nostalgia for the 3-day week and the blackouts?
I remember the 3-day week very well. In fact, I was explaining to Gaëlle, who of course wasn't here and probably hardly born then, I suppose. I remember it with great nostalgia, and it was good to hear the music as well. And I thought they caught that awfully well, I must say. I mean, I liked the dancing and so on. I wasn't quite sure how much it really had to do with the play, but I thought it was spectacular to watch.
I thought that the sort of the beigeness of that decade really came out.
Yes, with terrible clothes.
With the clothes and the set design. Yeah. Now, we also had a famous Liverpudlian in the show, in the form of a talking minor bird, voiced by Ken Dodd. How was that for you?
Oh, it was fine. I mean, I'm getting quite used to hearing. There was a very successful show 2 or 3 years ago when they did the Lady Killers, and they had a talking parrot then. That wasn't Ken Dodd. I mean, Ken Dodd can do no wrong for me. I thought as a minor bird he was outstanding.
And for you, did the 70s shine through?
I think it was good to put it in the 70s. I mean, I don't know the 70s. I've only heard of it, obviously, and read about it.
Oh,
but
I'm feeling terribly old.
No, but I think the show looks good in the 70s. To me, it made sense to make it happen during that time, actually. And so, because I mean, at that time, obviously, it was like well, plenty of things happening here in Britain, but also in France. And well, obviously the show is about sex as well, and the 70s is like the best time for that.
And obviously this was based on Georges Feydeau's farce. Did it retain the spirit of the original, do you think?
I think so. I think so. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, to tell the truth, I don't know the play in its original form. I haven't read it. I mean, I have read some Feydeau. As I said, I think there is a kind of substantial difference between French farce and English farce. I mean, the early English farces which I saw were Brian Rix and the Whitehall farces, which were a fantastically English kind of thing. They were about quite simple people whose trousers seemed to spend most of their time falling down, and that was how it was. And French farce, I mean, I hate to be kind of to particularize about this, but French farce generally is a slightly more sophisticated affair.
Yeah. And was this sophisticated in your
No,
opinion?
this was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And for the panto season, did it work?
Yes, I mean the audience loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
it went
People
down
were
very
laughing.
well.
And, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. We'll leave it there for the time being. We're going to have to take a short break right now, but we'll be back with more discussion on sex and the 3-day week at the Liverpool Playhouse after this break. Welcome back to Arts Alive Theatre, where we're discussing the Liverpool Playhouse alternative to normal festive fun with their new farce, Sex and the 3-Day Week, which is a working of Georges Feydeau's farce, The Free Exchange Hotel. Joining me is Chris Kerr and Gaël Lebrun to discuss this. Welcome back. Feydeau's reputation has actually grown somewhat since his death. What's his reputation like now in France?
Well, I don't really know about the reputation. What I know is that, I mean, there's been a lot of analysis about his work and what he was trying to do. And, well, towards the end of his life, when he was writing and he wrote this play, he was criticizing a lot the bourgeoisie at this time, obviously. And I think this has become part of the French humor, if I could say so. Because today, French people, they're still laughing at the same things, pretty much. They're still laughing at the politicians or the people who have, like, maybe more money as well. And, yeah, it's a whole... I mean, French humor is definitely based on criticism, cynicism as well, and satire. Did you say satire? Yeah.
Yes, satire.
So yeah, I think
which I think in this adaptation, it didn't quite have that the satirical edge that it needed for it to be really relevant. And I wondered whether locating the play in Liverpool was the right decision. I mean, obviously it's great for the Playhouse, but did it have that bite, or was it a bit too suburban for your liking, Chris?
No, I mean, I go back to what I said just now, which is that it's, I mean, French farce and English farce are a very different thing. And I mean, Gaël has touched on the kind of societal criticisms that Feydeau was making. And, you know, if we think about it, it was the height of the Belle Époque. I mean, France was full of, immensely wealthy middle-class people who were actually fundamentally, I mean, I wasn't there actually quite, but fundamentally pretty pleased with themselves. And I think what Feydeau was trying to do was to show that apparently fantastically well-to-do people, society leaders, bankers, whatever, politicians and so on, were actually just as venal and corrupt as the rest of the world. And
just as venal and corrupt as the aristocracy that they'd replaced.
Precisely that. I mean, that's the irony, in fact. Of course, there was no French aristocracy, but there's nonetheless, as there is in France now, there's very different elite, the people who are actually, all the people who've been to the grandes écoles, who have been through a certain kind of higher level education, who run the country.
Exactly, yeah, that's
and
right.
I think it was the same in the 1890s. And I think what Feydeau was saying, well, actually, you take their clothes off. They're just humans like the rest of us, and they make the same mistakes, and they cheat and lie to get what they want. And I think, as I say, that's what French farce was about. It was actually, puncturing the illusion of these fine men and women. And I sense that English farce isn't like that. It isn't a political satire. And we do satire very well, but we don't have to do it through farce. Not in farce. I mean, our farces, as I say, tend to be, I mean, you think of, I mean, Ray Cooney, Brian Ricks, that kind of stuff. They tend to be quite ordinary people who get into a funny situation.
Yeah.
I mean, there are similarities in that there are probably, you know, people end up in bed with the wrong people by mistake, you know, probably with another chap, you know. There are doors opening and closing. There are mistaken identities. So there's all that kind of similarity. But actually, as I said, I mean, I think English farce is just a lot of fun. And I did feel about this production was that it was, you know, it was great to set it in Liverpool, great to set it in the 3-day week, but I didn't really feel there was any particular relevance about that. I mean, it wasn't, it was referred to, and there was the whole business with the miners, which explained a lot of the black faces, which, you know.
And the lights going off.
Yes, all that kind of stuff, yes. And people getting lost in the dark and getting into the wrong room. But it was for me, I mean, it was just a lot of fun. But you know, it was different from Feder to the extent that he wasn't actually criticising anybody very much. They were none of them. I mean, what they did have in common with Feder was that none of them were fantastically likable people. You know, you didn't. I mean, you kind of liked some of them some of the time. But
there wasn't a sort of a protagonist who you warmed to particularly.
Not really. Not really. Actually, I liked the miner bird a lot. I thought that was
well, yeah, Ken. It's interesting because although it was set in the 70s, you did see sort of elements of 70s sitcom in there. You had the Spanish concierge, which had sort of elements of the Manuel character from Fawlty Towers. There was the suburban claustrophobia of sort of an Abigail's Party or a George and Mildred in there as well. Did you think that the writer played on that at all?
Well, I think, being a French person, and there's a character who's the French girl, obviously, into the play. I think she was playing really well, actually. I thought she was French at first.
Really?
But yeah, I didn't hear the accent at all. But yeah, so I think, it worked pretty much. I mean, for the 70s style, actually, yeah. She was really good.
Did you think she sounded like a French woman from the 70s?
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. She
with
had this kind.
bob cut.
Exactly, yeah. French people. I mean, French women were having this kind of haircut as well at this time, and she was very. How could I say? It's not
forward.
No, but it's not childish. But you know, she was very. Sounded a bit like a young woman, very young woman, and at this time they were very popular in France. I mean, it was all about young women going to sing, going to dance. I mean, it was like some of the best years, actually. Yes.
Sexually liberated.
Absolutely, yeah. So she played it well.
So her sort of eating up of that poor student was.
Yeah, but in some kind of way, she looked as well very. Yeah, it's not childish. I'm looking for the word right now, but I can't find it. But yeah.
I thought the set was fantastic.
It was amazing. Amazing, yeah.
And the use of obviously the two layers in the hotel sequences, and the use of you know, backlighting to show the rooms. I thought was exceptionally well done.
Apparently, that's something that Fedor was doing in his plays as well. He had different sets up like that, so that the characters could move in between different parts of the scene with up and down as well, as it is in the show right now. So I think this is a good retranscription of it.
I thought the set was magnificent, I must say, in both scenes. I mean, there were some very, very clever tricks, like the business with you had the bedrooms upstairs, but then the main bedroom was downstairs. So you had the action happening in two parallel places, and there was a wonderful moment when a chair is thrown out of the room, and it happens simultaneously in two parts of the theatre. I thought that was very clever and very inventive. I like that a lot.
No, that was extremely well done. Any standout performances from your perspective?
I thought it was a very good ensemble performance. I mean, I have to say, I thought that Sebastian was fantastic, and I spent a long time admiring his Spanish accent, and it was only when I went home and read the programme more carefully that I realised he actually is Spanish, which explains quite a lot. But I thought actually, for me, I thought he was very good. He was like the kind of MC. I liked his deadpan expression.
Yes.
I loved the way that he moved his counter around in this kind of completely surreal way, but I thought it was very clever.
And would always make them walk further up
follow me.
to follow you up the stairs, which was
I like that.
And there was some really nice directorial touches. I mean, I did like how, you know, they obviously there was a huge set change required within the production. And you had the main character on the bicycle with two people coming in to be the elements. I thought that worked well.
Yes, no, that was very good. No, I thought it was, as I said, I thought it was a very good ensemble. I thought it probably exhausting. I mean, I felt, again, I'm sorry to keep going back to the difference between English and French farce, but I think French farce is played very straight, and it's just the situations which are so amusing, whereas we tend to play it quite big, and I think the cast had been told, play it up, chaps. And they certainly did, and I thought some of them must have been very tired after all that dancing and bicycling by the end of it.
And they've got a few more performances left. Well, thank you very much, Chris. Gail, thank you very much. Well, that's all we have time for this week. Sex and the 3-Day Week is on at the Playhouse until the 10th of January. It just leaves me to say thank you to my guests, Chris and Gail, and we will see you next week for more of Arts Alive Theatre, where we will be going over to the Epstein Theatre and discuss their production of Jack and the Beanstalk. Until next time, goodbye and break a leg.